There comes a time in every sports podcast and really any podcast in general that the quality either just goes so far down or the people forget to like record it. And then there's a time where like you hit this peak and you think that that's like the plateau, but then you just raise the bar so much higher. Luckily, we're at that one where we're going to go like a little bit better. Luckily, also, you won't have to hear my voice as much because I'm going to do this smelling salt. And the owner of my favorite Instagram page, Bryce Martino, the FB analyst, if you don't know, is here. Finally, after months of hoping he would join us, is going to. Andrew Tolva's back. Finally, he's going to join us most Tuesdays. Tolva Tuesday. Bryce, whatever you want to say, go for it. I'm going to do the salt, and then I'm going to let out a quick woo, but just don't mind me, okay?
What's up, boys?
Hi, Bryce.
Brycey!
Good.
Glad to
Going
be
on?
here, Bryce.
Good to be here, except for seeing Tolva, obviously. Deontay's all right.
He's just fine.
I can
Just fine.
tolerate Tolva for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we're all talking football, we're a little bit more tolerable, but I think this is as good as it gets as far as a board goes. We got Steven running the whole thing, and I'm excited to get into some football talk, y'all. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. I haven't been on a pub with you in a little while, but yeah, I'm excited. Somebody want to kick us off with something?
I'll go. I've never done a smelling salt before a podcast. I don't know why not. Oof, that was really good. I can't wait for that to live on forever. Okay.
That's gonna become a meme.
Bryce, my like biggest wish is at like 12:59 for me to make a GIF of that and then like you to post it to like your millions of followers. That was really dumb though. I've been having sinus problems. I'm so afraid I'm gonna get a nosebleed. Anyways,
Hey man, sometimes that's the price you pay.
we're gonna start off one team you think more of, one team you think less than. And Bryce Martino, please get us underway.
All right. Well, one team that's really shocked me is sorry about that. Carolina Panthers.
Ooh,
We've all seen what Sam Darnold's done in the past, which is pretty much nothing with the Jets. Steven knows that. Really, I'm not a huge fan of that team overall either. Their quarterback plays terrible, like I've said. Their tight end is shaky. Defense is shaky too. But that's really all I got.
What's the team that you think less of?
Less of, geez. Got to be the Vikings, honestly. I mean, they bolstered that defense a lot this offseason. Got Patrick Peterson, Delvin Tomlinson. I mean, they should have won that last game if history repeats itself with missed field goal again.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I think I've really been disappointed by with the Vikings this season. I mean, if you guys remember the 2019-2020 offseason, the Vikes came through and they let like every bit of veteran talent they had go to bring in, they put all faith in their rookies. They lost. I think that roster got younger by a couple of years on average, which is a huge difference for one off season. But then that defense that they had just kind of collapsed. It was unimpressive. And now this year they've kind of compensated by bringing back a lot of veteran talent. Some of the guys they'd originally let go, but they're just not. They're not closing out these games well. They've got so much talent on offense. They got so much veteran talent and young talent on defense now. A combination of those off seasons, and here they are sitting at 0-2 behind the Chicago Bears of all teams, and the Packers after that opening game. They're still behind them too. There's no reason this Vikings team shouldn't be number one in the division right now. But right now they're tied for last with the Lions. The Lions.
The rebuilding freaking Lions.
Yeah. The guys who took on Jared Goff's contract.
Taking off kneecaps.
Well, yeah, they're taking off kneecaps and W's, I guess. It's embarrassing. And yet here they are, tied with them.
Hey, I mean, they also signed Austin Siebert. Like, that was out of all the kickers that they could have had. The fact that they signed him shows like how much Dan Campbell really wants to win. Like, take your double mocha venti whatever and just like dump it all over Jared Goff.
Man, I don't know.
It's crazy to think, but the Lions aren't even that bad this season. With how much roster turnover they had this year or this offseason, you'd think they would be a lot worse.
It's the coaching,
Show.
man. I think Dan Campbell really is the truth there. I mean, I watched him. He was the assistant head coach to Sean Payton for, I think, 3 years. Tight ends coach. He played in the league, so I think he has a lot of good perspective, and he learned from some of the best. So, you look at his team, his roster right now, and he's got a guy like DeAndre Swift. He watched Alvin Kamara for 3 years, and from the minute he was drafted to what he's become now, he wants that on his own offense. And he's got a great gadget player and Jamal Williams, and I think you're seeing how much he prioritizes depth and versatility. And Aaron Glenn is turning things around on that defense. I wouldn't say he has the players to show what he's capable of, but he's a defensive backs coach, and he had, I think, 2 rookies who ended the game as starters. So I think they have the right coaching, but man, the Lions, once they get a little bit better, develop their young players and draft and in the free agency, they make the right moves, as I expect their front office to do. I mean, the Lions, I'm not ready to say they're going to be good because that hasn't happened in a couple decades, but I'm ready to say that I think they're on the up and up.
Yeah, it kind of feels like similar to bringing in Salah in New York. Like it's a kind of the kind of move that you expect would pay dividends over time over the next year or two. They are on the up and up. Are we still keeping with this team I think more of, team I think less of? Because I'm thinking a little bit more of the Eagles, just a little bit. I mean,
That's
I don't
disgusting.
think they're good. I just think that they may be less terrible than we're giving.
I think the Eagles are the second best team in the division.
I think you're wrong.
Or could the 49ers just not be as good as I thought that they were?
I mean, that's
also
more
possible.
accurate.
The Falcons
The
beat
fact that they
the worst
still
team in the league.
the Eagles gave them a competing game with an average defense at best.
Mm-hmm.
And Jalen fucking
What did you expect? 10 wins this year?
You know what?
They're gonna get.
I mean, they have no
might just
quarterback
win it.
either.
Here's a good one. I mean, and I think everyone's kind of starting to get on this train a little bit. I will say I was one of the most hesitant Gruden and Mike Mayock praisers. I will stop at nothing to talk poorly about the Raiders, but I just wrote an article about their defense. Their offense is playing pretty well. Darren Waller looks like he's still that guy. Brian Edwards is looking better. Henry Ruggs is going to be utilized more. The offensive line is not as bad as we make them out to be. And Derek Carr can get the ball to his playmakers. I'm not about to say he's good. He's getting the ball to his playmakers. So let's say they can put up some points. Max Crosby looks like one of the best defensive ends in the league right now. He has 11 quarterback hits. He has 2 sacks, and he has a handful of pressures through the first 2 games. He's terrorizing tackles. I mean, and he was on Lamar Jackson's ass all night. Lamar Jackson's one of the hardest guys to tackle. I think I credit most of it, though, to Gus Bradley and his system. You look back to the Chargers, they had Derwin James, who's ultra versatile. You have a guy like Joey Bosa. And what I've noticed through a little bit of film study is that the Raiders defense is prioritizing technique and high IQ football players. And if you run your defense like that, you don't need to have a bunch of Pro Bowlers to win football games, because you have guys who are going to do their jobs, and they're going to make tackles, and they're going to make plays because they're taught correctly and it's all schemed correctly. So let's say Max Crosby is going to be that guy. Yannick Ngakoue is still a great speed rusher. They've got a great rotation down there. Solomon Thomas, Darius Philon. And then they have Carl Nassib as kind of a tweener between interior defensive line and edge rusher. And then they've got a great linebacker rotation. Corey Littleton's out there, Nick Kwiatkowski, Nicholas Moreau, KJ Wright. And so I've been pretty impressed with their front 7. But honestly, what I thought was so dog water for so long was their cornerbacks. And they drafted Damon Arnett, and I'll say he's a bust. I'll say it right now. I hope every other football fan would say it. But Trayvon Mullen is developing and getting better each and every year. They brought in Casey Hayward, and then Nate Hobbs is holding down the slot. So you look at this team, it's complete for what Gus Bradley wants to do on defense, and they can carry out what Gruden wants to do in his ever-evolving offense. So is this a team that can compete in the AFC West? Probably not yet, but this is a team that's not going to lose 40-0 2 weeks a year to the Chiefs. A team that I'm disappointed with, the New York Giants. I was so high on them this offseason, bro. Their defense, I was so high on them. They have a great secondary. Logan Ryan, Xavier McKinney, Jabril Peppers. They have James Bradbury out there, Adoree Jackson. I think Darnay Holmes has come a long way. And I've just been flat out disappointed with how their defense has played. Azeez Ojulari, great pick. I had a first-round grade on him. People will learn that he should have gone in the first round much higher. And they've got a great line. Danny Shelton has disappointed. He's not starting right now. Delvin Tomlinson, Dexter Lawrence. I'm a big Dexter Lawrence fan. I think he got a perfect jump on the kick, but that's for a different podcast. And then obviously Leonard Williams. So I think the defense is what got me really excited, and I'm disappointed. And then whatever is happening with Kadarius Toney.
Oh God, that's a mess, isn't it?
Oh,
I like your take. The Giants are massively disappointing. They look like they had a great offseason. I mean, arguably the best offseason in the NFC East. It was
starts with the coaching staff too.
Yeah, I mean they were just impressive, but it looks like they're undisciplined. It looks like they're constantly missing their assignments and generally underperforming on what was expected to be a more talented roster than last year.
I put it on Joe Judge, and whatever reason, Jason Garrett is still in a high-level coaching job.
Yeah.
What I don't get is why they're
guy.
using a practice squad receiver over Kadarius Toney too.
I mean, they're misusing Kenny Golladay. If you could misuse him. Sterling Shepard was a Kadarius Toney kind of guy out of the draft. I feel like we forget that. At Oklahoma, he was shifty gadget player guy, and we're like, yeah, like if the right offense gets their hands on Sterling Shepard, he's going to do it all. And he had like the Deebo Samuel kind of potential. Mm-hmm. And now they have Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney on an offense where they're like, run this route and see what happens. And if Kadarius Toney can even get on the field to run a route, what is happening in New York right now?
I mean, I saw during that game, people were saying that that Kenny Golladay was yelling at Daniel Jones. Apparently, it came out and said that he was actually yelling at Jason Garrett. So apparently, there's something going on within that offense that is having the players upset.
Big surprise.
And
I'm not really shocked by that.
Change.
Yeah, I'm not shocked by that at all. I mean, Daniel Jones is actually playing like a mediocre quarterback, which, considering the team around him, is kind of impressive. I think that he's. I mean, obviously he hasn't been good, and he hasn't been good enough to elevate this team, as you kind of need from a quarterback at any level. But he's been decent, and that's all you can really ask for him, considering the support and coaching staff around him.
May I chime in?
Please.
Can we stop saying Saquon Barkley's a top 5 running back?
Thank you, God. That was literally my
God,
next point, dude. I have
this guy
hasn't been top 5
this guy
years.
is like barely top 10.
Oh my gosh.
He got like the first year, I'll give him credit. That was a terrible offensive line. What he did was incredible. But like the second year, he had some injuries, this and that. But that was when the Jets had like a terrible defensive line and totally shut him out. And Joe Mixon had like similar numbers to him, and nobody gave Joe Mixon any love. And then last year it was like, Saquon's hurt, but it's going to be Saquon 2.0 in 2021. Saquon Barkley's like, yeah, it's great, but like it's like CMC, Derrick Henry, Kamara, then like different levels, and then Saquon Barkley falls in that like whichever one you get.
I semi bought into the Giants this offseason because I loved what they did. Like on paper, their defense was great. I was like, this is going to be great. All they need is semi-decent coaching. And so I'm following all these fan pages. I'm getting into arguments with people as I do. And I don't understand the rave about this offensive line. Andrew Thomas is not playing like a top 5 overall pick. Can we stop acting like he's going to start playing like a top 5 pick he's next week?
Garbage.
Because he's not. And Matt Peart's not starting over the dinosaur Nate Solder. Who is Shane Lemieux, the 6th round guard from Oregon, and why is he starting? Nick Gates isn't good because he picks fights and cusses a lot. And Will Hernandez, ate a couple too many bags of Lay's potato chips this offseason. Like, this is not a good offensive line. And even when they do give Saquon Barkley somewhat of a hole, he runs into the middle of a pile and averages 2 yards per carry. He lost some pop with his knees, and his IQ and vision is down the toilet. He might still have the most talent. He doesn't use any of it.
Yeah, but at least he's got his number on his earrings.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's got 26 in diamonds, and he's selling a lot of jerseys in blue. Like, no one cares
and that
about
Gillette
that.
commercial plays every 45 seconds. We get it, dude. You have facial hair. I do too, but I would shave it off because it looks terrible.
I just don't understand what's going on with the Giants this week. So, I would say when it comes to the NFC East, this is still a confusing division. Because we have Dallas, and I wrote an article on their wide receiver duo, and I love them. I think Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb can be one of the best since we had Brandon Cooks and Michael Thomas in 2016. We had Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas, and we had the Chris Godwin, Mike Evans year with Jameis Winston. Like, I think they can be that good or better. And they're passing the rock a lot, but Tony Pollard's their best running back, and they're underutilizing him. Their defense looks weak. They lost their pass rush when DeMarcus Lawrence hurt his foot. Micah Parsons is a great pick. Why are you still playing LVE and Jalen Smith over him? I mean, they switched Parsons to defensive end out of necessity last week, and he still got a sack. Like, this dude
he dominated
insane.
that game.
They are misusing good players. This is a poorly coached team. I don't think Mike McCarthy is the guy. Glad they paid Dak, but I mean, what's going on down in Dallas? Don't get me started on the Eagles, or I'll rant for 30 minutes. I think it's between the football team and the Cowboys right now, because the Giants are just sucking.
Yeah, but I mean, does the loss of Ryan Tannehill for Washington improve, or
Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick, does it improve, or
Neither.
tank this team? Like, do you think Heineke is on par with him then?
Heineke's better.
You know, I think the big difference here is coaching, and that's just one of the most under-recognized things in the whole entire NFL.
Thank you.
Coaching makes such a big difference. Like Sean McVay, Sean Payton, Ron Rivera, they're weapons. On the sideline, they are weapons. And they can run an offense with a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, Taysom Hill, Taylor Heineke, and they can win football games. The Rams won a playoff game with whoever, what's his nuts is, the guy who looks like Oompa Loompa. Like, they are winning football games with backup quarterbacks. Like, so to me, it comes down to the coaching, and I think the Washington football team has a huge edge there. I'm one of the biggest Ron Rivera supporters. I think he's a defensive mastermind, and he just knows how to speak to his players and develop young guys. It's why Taylor Heineke's playing so well. If he was in New York, good luck.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Washington's going to die by that secondary, honestly. I haven't seen a worse secondary besides probably Houston.
It's constant miscommunications. I don't know what it is. It's been like this for years.
Buffalo has him next 2 weeks, so.
Oh yeah, I'm expecting big things over the next 2 weeks. If we don't, then maybe it's time to be a little concerned about our passing game. But until then, I feel pretty good.
Start every Buffalo Bills player you have in fantasy. Start them all. They're going to go off of 50 points each. Promise you.
My concern is, how the hell does Washington not play better when they're going up a guy like McLaurin every day in practice? How do you not develop? How do you not learn? And how do you not understand as a front office that you need to improve that area?
Practice smart corners on that team.
A lot of money has been spent. They paid Kendall Fuller. They paid William Jackson. They signed Bobby McCain.
Drafted Benjamin St. Juste.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, if there's no communications going on, and then as you see on that, who was it? Who was it that was wide open that dropped that touchdown? I'm drawing a blank.
Darius Slayton.
Yeah, Slayton. You know, you saw that was a wide open that was a wide open touchdown. I'm pretty sure somebody else caught a wide open touchdown later on in the game. Just constant miscommunications. And
Deontay,
it'd be deep.
I think you'll have the best input on this. X and I were talking about this recently. This Washington front four is without a doubt, I will fight everyone to the death that they are the best front four, pass rush, whatever, in the league. Daron Payne, I have been one of his biggest supporters since the draft. He is an animal, a wrecking ball, so underrecognized. Jonathan Allen is also underappreciated. Montez Sweat broke the defensive line 40-yard dash record, and then Chase Young is the second coming of Black Jesus. But that is why everyone thinks that the Washington football team is going to get carried by their defense, because of 4 players. You have linebackers behind them that aren't playing well. You have a undersized linebacker in Landon Collins, and then just a bad corner room. So what do you think, Deontay?
So one thing that I've seen is that front 4 isn't nearly getting as much pressure as they should with the amount of first round draft picks that they put into it. It makes no sense how I think in that game versus the Giants they had 4 sacks,
Something like that, yeah.
2 of them were by Jonathan Allen in the first quarter, and one of them was a corner blitz by, I believe, Kendall Fuller. So, like, there's no way that the amount of pressure that they put on defenses should be more. The linebacker core is terrible. Jamin Davis, he's a rookie. You're really just
he's not ready to be that guy.
He's not, and if he's not ready to be that guy, and you have guys like John Bostic out there just looking lost, getting beat up the middle consistently. Cole Holcomb, I love him. I wish he was playing better. I feel like he's going to play better. But once again, there's a reason why they drafted a first round linebacker instead of consistently playing him. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, they have the skill. I can't tell you. There's too much skill.
That leader linebacker field general position is so important. It changes the complexion of a defense. When Luke Kuechly left, we saw it. Teams like the Saints, when Demario Davis came, they completely changed. The Bills, when Tremaine Edmonds came, completely changed. So I am always hesitant with starting a first round linebacker as that guy. Maybe Jamin Davis is the key here, but he's a developmental guy. What do you guys think?
He is. 1,000%.
He's going to need a year or 2 to develop.
Yeah,
definitely.
And that's kind of why they really picked him now, because they felt like they had good veteran, pieces to at least help him out. But with Holcomb being that kind of young guy, they can't really rely on him too much. And they have a veteran in Bostic. He's really, really good at putting guys in positions that they need to be in order for them to succeed. He's a good voice. He's a good leader, but he sucks. Like he's terrible. So he'll just consistently get beat. And when you have linebackers who either aren't good enough or too young, and Boston who just flat out sucks.
Who's wearing the green dot?
Boston.
Oh, okay.
Thing is, so if Washington actually plans to contend for the division this season, I mean, right now they're in first by some miracle. But if they do actually intend to contend for this division this year, and they severely need to improve that linebacker core, who do you actually go get? The free agent pool for linebackers right now is non-existent. And unless you're willing to make a trade, which I don't think Washington is, considering they're still unofficially in sort of a half rebuild.
So one thing that I think they were hoping on, I heard this from numerous people that I trust and listen to. I guess they were kind of hoping to get that veteran after getting down to the 53-man roster. It just didn't happen. They only kept three linebackers, I think. And once again, they were hoping to get that guy that was going to be cut.
Yeah, pick someone else at cut down day. But
yeah, never happened. So
they were in free agent talks for a while in the off season with a guy like Jayon Brown, I heard, and they still planned on taking a guy like Jamin Davis. They still wanted to, get that vet and then get a young guy that they can develop, and it just never worked out. And then after, like you said, at the deadline, Avery Williamson and Benardrick McKinney were both in talks with the football team, but then they want too much money, and the football team, I guess, thinks that they're good to go with Bostic, Holcomb, and Jamin Davis,
which is just simply not true.
Yeah, it just seems flawed.
Yeah, well, NFC East is a jumble. What's new?
Still garbage as always. Sorry, Deontay.
I don't know. My
Not
life is
really.
a joke. My life is a
Well,
joke.
Ethan too, though.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna talk about garbage,
Let's talk about the
That's right.
Jets. Zach Wilson.
whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
let's
whoa,
fucking
Talking about
talk
Zach
about
Wilson
him.
now.
Dang.
Yes.
Okay.
4 interceptions. Are you serious? Like,
Okay. I was gonna say something nice about you. Say the only good thing out of Philadelphia.
They should
But
have
here we
drafted
go.
Ian
I
Book.
probably
Shoving the
wouldn't
warning
have
down
taken
my
that in the nice
face.
way anyway.
I just wanted to know who you think more of and less than.
Dang.
All right, Ethan, tell us.
It's tough. I mean, I would say the Raiders, but I still think they're pretenders at the end of the day. Just like, Andrew brings up the fact that, they run it really well, but like talent does exceed at the end of the day, and you need it at the bottom line because coaching, perfect coaching isn't perfect at the end of the day, and there are going to be mistakes made by these average players, and I just think they're going to plateau at some point. And I still think they're maybe even a 4th place team still. I mean, Denver's look pretty good.
The Rams made it to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff. I still think, this is making it apparent. I think coaches are weapons. Like they are all pro players, and Sean McVay made.
But
Jared
that defense
Goff
doesn't
look
have
like he
Aaron
deserved-
Donald they didn't have.
No, but you don't need Aaron Donald. You don't. They're winning football games.
Aaron Donald
You
against-
need better players than what they have.
Sure, but they're beating teams like the Ravens. I don't want to hear about their running back situation. That they beat the Chiefs without their running back situation.
And they
Beating
deserve
teams-
credit for that, but it's not going to go for a full season.
It happened with
No,
the
it ain't.
Rams. And who else did they have? They didn't have Jalen Ramsey then. They had Aaron Donald, end of statement. They had an old Aqib Talib and a Marcus Peters who got embarrassed by Michael Thomas on deep routes.
Yeah, they
Like-
had Todd Gurley, but running backs are proven to be increasingly replaceable in the current NFL.
Yeah, but that was
So-
before Todd Gurley had like devastating arthritis.
That was the year that he got
It
that
was,
that
yeah.
came out. Yeah,
Well, yeah,
because I
but
remember he
people
got like
back
3
then-
carries in that Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Because CJ Anderson went off that playoff season.
Yeah, so which somehow meant that the guy they'd been leading on for a couple of years, who had brought legitimacy to the LA Rams offense for a while, just suddenly didn't matter in the Super Bowl.
Gets
You know-
5 snaps a game.
I got a
Yeah.
question.
And the
I
Rams had
think-
a better offensive line than Oakland or Las Vegas does now. Alex Leatherwood honestly stinks. I mean,
Yeah.
the
Well,
guy,
that was a
he might be the worst
questionable
first
pick.
round pick, honestly.
Yeah,
He's up
Peyton
there,
Turner
definitely.
really showed up last
Well, the
week.
Raiders
But
have had
defensive
what,
player
like
of the year, Peyton Turner.
six.
Peyton Turner.
The Raiders have had six first round picks in 2 years, or in 3
Mhm.
3 years.
Mhm.
I don't understand how they continue to make such questionable draft decisions, and we're not seeing any of it pay dividends.
Well, I think you look. Honestly, I got a question because if you look at the Jets, they know they're drafting a quarterback. They have a high pick, and when they're hiring their staff, they hire Robert Saleh, which I can't say is inherently a bad move. Obviously, he's a great coach, but he's defensive minded, and you have a guy like Zach Wilson who went off for 1 year at BYU. And you stick him with the defensive coordinator as his head coach. Did they make a mistake there, or is Zach Wilson not who we thought he was?
I'd like
Here's
to
my
believe
thing
that
on that.
Wilson is. I'd like to believe that Wilson has, as with every QB coming out of the draft, I kind of want to root for them.
Yeah.
I think that this league is best when we have great young quarterbacks playing to their full potential.
Absolutely.
But more often than not, every draft we're not going to see 2 or 3 Hall of Fame caliber franchise QBs coming out. We're going to see 1, maybe 2 in a really good draft. But you just don't tend to see that same level of success from these young guys. And I think that if you're looking at these draft classes of quarterbacks coming out, you need to pick maximum 2 guys who you think can actually make it, and understand that the rest will have a below average to non-existent career. And looking at what the limited sample size has been so far, it looks like the 2 guys who were probably going to do best are going to be guys like Justin Fields and Mac Jones. I don't see. Trevor Lawrence has no support, and we don't want what happened to Sam Darnold in New
You're
York
talking
to
about
happen
this
to him.
year. They're gonna have
Talking
the
about
best
this year.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about like the potential long-term careers of these guys, because I like Trevor Lawrence, but he's also getting no support. It doesn't look like this the new front office and coaching staff for this organization have made any steps to correct that, and it doesn't look like they're going. It doesn't instill the faith in me that they're going to make more good moves in the future.
Well,
I think
that
that if
Urban
any of
Meyer
these guys,
hire was terrible.
awful.
I completely agree.
Well, but then you look at
It's a great name.
2018 with
it
Baker
is.
Mayfield and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. So that's like 3 above average, at least above average quarterbacks. And then I'm not ready to kick the bucket on Sam Darnold. But then there was the Josh Rosen disaster, which I called, might I add. But I think Mac Jones is looking good. I think Justin Fields is going to be that guy. I think Trey Lance is really going to be that guy.
Yeah.
No one is going to kick the bucket on Trevor Lawrence for 2 years at least.
Agreed.
Like, and then who's the fifth guy? Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. Yeah.
So could Zach Wilson be the Josh Rosen? Could
I think
he, or
I think
the
there's more
Jets
potential
that
for
awful?
him. Well, I think that there's more potential for him to bust out than any of these other guys, primarily because he's been the least impressive with
1 year at
arguably
BYU.
one of the
And he's somehow
better
QB2
coaching
above Justin
supports
Fields.
in the NFL of these new guys coming out. I mean, I think that Wilson has so much potential, and he could really could be great, but he needs more time, and we need to see him with some actual weapons around him, and it's up to Robert Saleh to either do that himself or trust his offensive coordinator and the front office staff around him to do that for him and recognize that his specialty lies in defense.
Yeah.
And if he's able, I mean, Saleh is known to be one of the least egotistical defensive coordinators coming through. He was this incredibly even-minded sort of, I hate to say the word humble because it's kind of overused in the modern context here, but it is. He fits everything you would want out of a potential new coaching hire. But if he thinks that he can learn to run this entire offense as well as trying to rebuild this defense into, in his image like he did in San Francisco, then I think that they might be looking at another rough couple of years before either he figures it out or they move on to somebody else.
Living and dying by that defense, basically.
Yeah, and he needs to acknowledge that he needs help on offense. Either his quarterback needs help, which is absolutely a fact, or he needs help building that offense, which we don't know yet because it's not been enough time.
I think he's smart enough to figure it out, though. Like Saleh is one of those guys who is just, he knows football. He knows how to win football games. He learned from Kyle Shanahan. I do think that's a big plus. Like he learned from one of the best offensive minds. So he's seen how it's supposed to be run. I'm not about to say he's an offensive mind at all, but you bring in the right offensive coordinator, a guy who's come from a reputable coaching staff, and who knows?
Yeah, but you can see why a lot of these things that we're saying about Saleh don't instill me in a great deal of faith in guys like Urban Meyer in Jacksonville.
Absolutely. Well, and then you look at what's around him. He's got like Ty Johnson, and then the rookie.
They don't even have like a
running back
real
from UNC. God, what's his name? Michael Carter. They
Mhm.
don't have a half decent running back. They've got Elijah Moore, who I do think is going to be great. Denzel Mims, who can't create separation. Jamison
And
Crowder.
can't get above Jeff Smith on the depth chart.
Yeah,
Even with Jamison Crowder and Kalen Cole inactive every week.
Right. So let's not kick the bucket. And the Patriots defense is designed to confuse you, even if you're a smart quarterback. See ghosts
For rookies especially.
Did you see that they asked Zach Wilson in post-game press conference if he had been seeing ghosts out there?
And he said,
that was the dumbest
He's
question.
like,
No, I did not. No.
All right. Well, let's
Not
get
the
to
most
some
convincing.
exciting
Fucking look like
football
it.
here. I
All
think
right.
that the NFC East is really intriguing to me. I'd like to kick this off with a couple thoughts, and then I'll pass it off. I like the Niners this year. I was just saying before this, I think they should
You're in
start
NFC
Trey
West,
Lance. NFC West, correct. And I like the Niners this year. I think they should start Trey Lance early, let him get the rookie jitters out of the way, and then they'll put their best offensive foot forward with him at the helm once he's learned a little bit. I like the Seahawks this year. I think they got outplayed and outcoached by the Titans in overtime, but I'm not ready to say that they're, the same plays well early, plays bad at the end kind of team. And then you look at the Rams, they're incredible with Matthew Stafford. They look great. Their defense is hitting on all cylinders. The anomaly to me is truly the Cardinals. And I just wrote an article on this. Can they sustain this offense? Kyler Murray is making some magical plays. They've got D-Hop being D-Hop. They've got A.J. Green, who's a reliable security blanket, a smart veteran. They've got Christian Kirk, who's making some nice plays deep down the field. And Rondale Moore is that gadget player that they want. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is calling a good game, but that Kyler Murray is making him look good. He's been hit 11 times in 2 games and is scrambling and is 5'10" and one of the hardest quarterbacks to tackle in the league. If they can't sturdy up on that offensive line, he's going to be injured by week 7, slower, physically beat down, or he can't make these miracle plays. But also, the secondaries that they're going up against is Janoris Jenkins as CB1. They're going up against an old Patrick Peterson, who Kyler Murray had a perfect passer rating against, Cam Dantzler. Like, these are weak secondaries. What happens when you meet the Rams in week 4 with Darius Williams and Jalen Ramsey, or the Browns in week 6 with Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome? What happens when there are corners who don't blow coverage and take away your miracle plays? Then what? Then what is your 5'10" baby Yoda going to do?
Yeah.
The Cardinals are the biggest question.
See, a lot of what you've said about about Kyler Murray is a lot of stuff that people were saying about Josh Allen last season. And he, was able to put up a lot of that to sustain success. He did have a down period during the middle of the early season, as we had to overcome some issues. But ultimately, he was learning to play from the pocket a lot more, and that's what was making him. That's what was letting him elevate his game. You're not seeing that in the same way from Murray. Yes, he's making all these plays, but if you can't maintain the security of your pocket, learn to sidestep the pressure instead of fleeing it, then
he also has Brian Dable and Sean McDermott. This dude's stuck with Cliff freaking Kingsbury, one of my least favorite coaches.
Exactly. Through no fault of Murray's own, I think that the odds are stacked a little more against him. And I like Murray. I think he's one of the most entertaining quarterbacks I've seen in a while too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, you can't help but love to see him in prime time, but he doesn't have the same support system. And until he either gets it or learns to live long term without it, then I don't have much faith in it. But I am well documented at this point. I think I've said on every single pod I've been on for at least a few weeks now that this is Rams to the Super Bowl for me. I think they're quite possibly the best team in the NFC. I think that if they go, we'll see what happens when they go head to head with the Bucs later on this season. But I fully believe that their defense is a little more complete. Their offense is a little less complicated than the Bucs, but it's just as effective. I have huge expectations for the Rams, and I think when all's said and done, the Cardinals and Seahawks are kind of fighting it out here for worst in the division, which is still, both of those teams are still
really
better
good.
than some of the leaders in other divisions.
I don't know,
but someone's going to miss the playoffs. Who's it going to be?
Bryce, what do you think about the West?
Well, who's that? You broke up.
About the West.
What do you think about the West?
Arizona is not my favorite team out of that division, honestly. Tolva said it. You're not playing against elite defenses. What happens when he goes up against the top defense?
Or
is he going
when
to turn
kickers
into
make kicks?
Yeah,
that's true.
Extra point field
What
goal?
if he turns into 2019 Josh Allen, for argument's sake, 2018 even? If he turns into that, they have no security blanket on that defense besides Chandler Jones, and he's not going to win you games either.
What happens when he goes up against like an elite left tackle? Taylor Lewan hasn't been that guy for 2 years.
Yeah.
And
unless I'm forgetting somebody in the backfield, they have no run game either to rely on.
They don't. Chase Edmonds, I talked about this. Chase Edmonds and James Conner, they're not it, especially with that offensive line. And
Conner hasn't been good since his rookie year.
They lost Kenyon Drake, right, to Vegas.
Yeah, he's in Vegas.
Yeah, which is still a stupid signing. But
you look at the defense. I think J.J. Watt is one of the most overpaid players in the NFL right now. And that's maybe been a hot take, but this dude is not producing like Hassan Reddick could have for the same amount of money. Hassan Reddick's got, 3 sacks through 2 games, playing a strong side linebacker in a 4-3 defense. He's not even rushing the passer as much as a hand in the dirt end or a rushing linebacker. And he's got 3 sacks. He was the truth. I don't know what you were doing there, Steve Keim. Then you got Chandler Jones, who's Chandler Jones. Okay, that's a bright spot. got Buda Baker. Okay, that's a bright spot. But then you got an old Marcus Golden. Isaiah Simmons is still being misused and still somehow finding a way to make plays. Zaven Collins is also making plays, but he's got no big three in front of them to open up lines to get these nice linebackers into the backfield. Like, they have talent that they're misusing. Does this come down to coaching? I think it does. They get to the playoffs, they're a first round exit. That's where coaching really matters.
Mhm.
You're not going to see Adam Gase's in the playoffs. You're going to see Sean McDermott's and Sean Payton's and Pete Carroll's.
And Sean
You're going to see
McVay's.
Ron Rivera's. You're going to see good coaches in the playoff. You're not going to be able to outcoach everyone and win a game. You
They
have
aren't
to.
getting past the Rams or the Bucks, honestly.
No, yeah,
Mhm.
no, I agree. So then I beg the question: is this Cardinals team overrated? And if so, how
Yes.
much?
I've thought so all offseason.
Underrated.
Mm-hmm.
I
How
think they're-
overrated?
I think they are just a little overrated.
Okay.
Because I still think that they have so much. Evidently, they have everything they need to play well. It's just
So
their
does the
ability to
Giants
string.
defense.
Yeah, it's just their ability to string it together consistently. And they've been somewhat consistent so far. It's on a play-to-play basis, though. It's splashy, it's flashy. It's not, bend don't break. It's not, unit cohesion. It's not, consistent, quality scheme and executing effectively. It's incredible athletes making plays one at a time. And until eventually someone's gonna, block your pass rusher. Someone, your tight end's going to swing and make a block downfield. You're going to get someone on a crossing route, and suddenly you got three easy routes to the end zone. And then, because your three best players just happen to all get locked up at once. You can't expect star players and a lack of scheme and consistency to win you. You can expect it to win. You can hope it'll win you a game. You cannot expect it to win you a division. You cannot expect to win in the playoffs with it.
Okay,
Arizona
so then,
and Houston may have been competing for the NFL's retirement home this offseason. Honestly.
absolutely. Well, and then I think a lot about what if the Raiders and the Cardinals played? It's kind of the opposite here. Cardinals have a ton of great talent, and sometimes it bails them out, but then their coaching will screw them. Like, they should have lost to the Vikings, and the Vikings are not all that. And they had a fluke game like the Saints did against the Packers in week 1. So what happens when you have the Raiders, who just took down 2 legitimate opponents, the Ravens, who are well coached, the Steelers, who are well coached and have a great defense? They outplayed them, both of those teams. 5 quarters against the Ravens, and then they just outright beat the Steelers. So if the Cardinals and the Raiders meet, let's say, who's coming out of the game? The better coached team or the more talent?
It kind of feels like the old defense wins championships adage. It's kind of a cliche, but the scheme is going to win.
Yes.
With consistency. I mean, it may, you could put them up against each other and the Cardinals could blow the doors off, but let's say this was a 10-game series. You're going to see more consistency and more, regularity of success from a team that executes scheme well, because it doesn't matter if someone gets hurt, the next man up will do almost as good a job. With the Cardinals, you lose Chandler Jones, where does your pass rush go? You have an aging JJ Watt, and you have who else? You lose
No one. You have Marcus Golden,
You
who
lose
gets
Buda Baker, you have no secondary anymore. That's it. That's you. Your job
Marco
done. You're
Wilson
done.
and Robert Alford. I will pound this drum until the day I die. Will never be starters on a team that goes deep into the playoffs. Lose the Cardinals.
Not at all, no.
Yeah. I would say the Raiders will win this 7 out of 10.
You know what? Let's let our host over here with the little red hat. Why don't you chime in?
Ooh, he changed teams awful fast, didn't he?
Sorry, I didn't feel
Bandwagon.
like you guys were seeing enough red. How do I think this team, when they play San Francisco, they're going to win one of them. And then everyone's going to be like, oh, but then I also feel like the Cardinals are going to lose one that they should win. Everyone's going to be like, oh, maybe they are who they are. I think it just depends how much magic Kyler Murray has. I think this depends on if Cliff Kingsbury likes this lifestyle that the NFL's afforded him, and how well this defense can hold up. And like Tolva said, if JJ Watt, wants to do something instead of Reebok commercials every once in a while, I think it just depends. Is your best Arizona Cardinals football Sunday better than whatever team you're playing? And, time will tell. It's like Hartley and I always say, this could be the second best team in the NFC West.
I love this because we're the guys who are supposed to give the answers. People, People see the Saints destroy the Packers in week 1. They're a top 10 team, and then they get embarrassed by the Panthers, and then they're a bottom half of the league team. Like, people switch up like the seasons. We're supposed to be the guys who say, listen, is this success sustained, or is this just fun to watch for now until they play a real opponent? And I think we're answering it. This is not, this Cardinals team that we've seen is lucky for beating the Vikings, and they had one fluke great game against the Titans. What the heck happens when they play McVay twice and that defense, and they face an offense that they have to beat in a shootout? That defense can't hold the Rams in check. No way. Not with that receiving core, not with Marco Wilson, not with Robert Alford, not with.
I mean, their only
Jalen
corner is Byron
Thompson.
Jones or Byron
Murphy, and he's a slot guy who can play adequate outside. Like, that's why we do these pods. We answer these questions that other people are changing up like the weather on.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to sit on a show and be like, well, these teams won, so they're good, and these teams lost, so they're bad. Come back next week for more analysis. But no, I mean, if you actually take a look at what these teams are made of, you find a lot of the answers are quite apparent. You just need to know what to look for. I mean, let's take a look at this Cardinals schedule here. The next 4 games are
Jacksonville.
In Jacksonville against the Jaguars, in LA against the Rams, hosting the 49ers, in Cleveland against the Browns. And I think they go 3-0, and then they go 3-3 here. Because
you think they beat the Rams in LA?
No, I think they beat the Jaguars to go 3-0.
Oh, I got you. And
then they're going to lose to the Rams, lose to the Niners, lose to the Browns, and then we'll see what that team looks like. Oh, it's in Arizona, but okay. I don't really think that matters too much.
Yeah.
No, the desert turns up. Just wait. They're going to go black out for that one.
I think the desert
Jimmy G's
turns
still
up.
starting. I'm not. I think that'll be much closer than people think.
Who can handle Deebo Samuel? And they've got a stout offensive line. They're going to give Jimmy G time. And they can't figure out who they have at running back, because Raheem Mostert wasn't it, even when he was healthy. Elijah Mitchell is a lucky rookie. JaMychal Hasty's a lucky rookie. Or maybe he's a sophomore, I'm not sure. But like, I just think San Fran doesn't have all these weapons. They have Kittle and Deebo Samuel, and I still take them.
Is George Kittle around right now?
I hate this Cardinals secondary. I cannot talk about it enough. I hate this Cardinals secondary.
Oh, yeah, it's
miserable. I think So then back to what I was saying. We answer the questions on the teams that are easy to be fair weather with. What are y'all's thoughts on the LA Chargers?
Ooh,
they still can't win close games, even with the new coaching staff.
Why?
They still can't win close games.
Like, you could pinpoint a reason.
I kind of think it's that defense, honestly.
Any part of it, or you think it's a defense as a whole?
It's a defense as a whole, because they have all the weapons that they can possibly get on offense. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler. I don't gotta name these to you. And who do they have on defense that can actually produce?
Bosa.
Well, both, besides Bosa, yes.
There is one thing that I've been able to completely pinpoint for the Chargers, and I think it's ruining them. And you can look back to the Buccaneers when I say it. They've got Derwin James. Nasir Adderley's been a great free safety. Asante Samuel's playing well. Chris Harris is still a great slot corner. They got Joey Bosa. I love Uchenna Nwosu. I like Jerry Tillery a lot, and I like Kenneth Murray.
Derwin can be good if he can stay healthy.
Right. But so let's assume he's healthy. What they need is their Vita Vea. They need someone who is demolishing insides of the line and opening holes. Derwin James can get to the quarterback. So can Kenneth Murray. He's like DeMario Davis in that sense. He can get into the backfield. He can make tackles for loss. He can make sacks. But there's no big hole in that defense, which is why in my recent mock, I gave him Jordan Davis from Georgia. I think they need a 350-pound uber athletic people mover who is creating pressure with pure strength and time in the weight room, opening holes for these playmakers, because they have them. But then you scratch your head and you're like, why aren't these playmakers producing? Joey Bosa doesn't have the same opportunities he did on a 4-man line.
Yeah, you need that consistent 3-tech to eat double teams and let the players around them excel.
So you need Jerry Tillery to produce.
Yeah, but is Jerry Tillery capable in this moment.
Right. Is he a bust, or does he need to develop a bit? Like that front three can be pinpointed as their problem.
Yeah. It's kind of disappointing because you expect an offense with as many quality skill players as they have to produce points, but when when you're constantly losing the field position battle and you're constantly having to play from behind, you're handcuffed in what kind of play calling you can choose and how you can proceed as an offense. Yep. And unless they get that support across the defensive line to put pressure on the quarterback and on the opposing quarterback and make them and force them into poor throws, or at least take away running lanes and drop a man out deep, put a spy on the QB, contain them and force them to throw from the pocket and play consistent coverage. You need to lock down what you intend to do and how you intend to attack each quarterback. And if you don't have that, that big bodied crushing 3-tech defensive tackle right in the middle leading those double teams, you're not going to get that the same way. And until they have it, they're constantly going to be second fiddle coming out of the AFC West at best.
I completely agree. Like y'all know X loves Justin Herbert as much as he loves his mom. I am kind of in that same boat. I'm a big Justin Herbert guy. He's got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, a much improved offensive line. They lost Hunter Henry, but I'm a big fan of Trey McKitty. Don't get me started on Jared Cook. He ruined the end of Drew Brees' career. But I'm a little bit baffled as to why they're not putting up more points. And as a Saints fan, I've watched Mike Lombardi, our quarterback coach, who's now the offensive coordinator for the Chargers, for so long. And I thought it was an awful signing to make him an offensive coordinator. He's a player developer, not a schemer. And that's what Justin Herbert needs. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think the offense is underperforming. I think it might be the whole team.
Yeah, I think there are too many fundamental positions of need where they have to make either significant changes to scheme or personnel in order to make the whole thing work as a whole. I mean, you can't expect certain areas to consistently produce and compensate for other areas where they have no control. The offense can't make up for the fact that they lose the field position battle. They can improve it as much as they can by getting, by scoring points and, getting as far down the field as they can. But generally, if the defense gives up 3 first downs and then a punt instead of a 3 and out or, 1 first down, then you're going to be starting in a worse and worse position all the time. And, if you're constantly having to play from behind, you're going to be handcuffed in your play calling. It's these basic fundamentals of the game that impact one another. And they're like 3 or 4 areas where they need to fix them to make the team as a whole successful. But if they can fix them, then they're going to be terrifying. They just haven't done it. What do you think of
Brandon Staley? What do you think of Staley? You think he's the guy?
I think that Brandon Staley needs, as always, he needs more time.
He needs to go to one of those weekend camps where
the summits.
You find out how to tie knots and stuff, and you're just that leadership thing that Michael Scott didn't get invited to on The Office. He needs one of those.
Well, yeah, he needs more time. He feels like a raw quarterback prospect, there's
Trey Lance.
There's a lot of potential to make it work, but he needs time to figure this out. He needs to learn to lean on his coordinators and staff around him when he can. But sometimes you got to just, put on your headset, call the ballsy play, and get to it. And I don't think he has that killer instinct yet. He's not a weapon like you said. Head coaches and coordinators should be weapons to a team, and he's not that yet.
And they have weapons on the field, but it's just they go so hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Good players become great players when they have a good coach, and good coaches become great coaches when they have great players.
That Brady Belichick combo, neither one of them would have been the same without the other over that period of time.
Correct.
It's a cliche to use the example, but you have to. There's no more apt comparison.
Yeah. It was disappointing to see them play against the football team, and then it was disappointing to see their play against the Cowboys. I'm expecting a lot of Justin Herbert and the Chargers. I wanted them to be a playoff team. So, I guess we'll see. It's only week 2. I don't buy much into these, but the film doesn't lie, and the film's been pretty disappointing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to totally switch gears here, and I'm going to pose the question to Ethan first. Is Arthur Smith the ugliest coach in the NFL, Ethan? All right, we'll let Bryce go. Bryce, is Arthur Smith the
I think
ugliest coach
Ethan's
in the
frozen.
NFL?
Yeah, it looks like he's frozen.
Maybe he's just really
But-
pondering it.
All right.
Just deep in thought.
But he definitely is. You can't name one other guy who's uglier than him. Besides probably Deontay. But
Yeah, I mean,
That's for
Deontay
another
looks
day.
like, listen, you guys realize that?
Damn. Y'all haven't been
Jeez.
to his Instagram, clearly. My God.
Yeah, he posts like 4 pictures a year. And then I had to
Okay.
put his hashtag on his last one.
You know,
Hang on, you guys have got me looking up a fucking Arthur Smith's Instagram here. Hang on.
man,
Arthur
he
Smith
looks
is
like
awful.
your grandpa. Like a
dang.
everyday grandpa. What makes him really ugly is how he coaches his football team. God, I will put a lot of money on the Falcons being the #1 overall pick. They look awful. Awful.
You know, maybe that was the plan. Maybe that's why they took Kyle Pitts. They didn't have a quarterback they wanted available, and they knew they were just going to get.
And then they're not going to get one
next
this year. Have you perused the draft class next year?
I haven't.
Brock Purdy.
There is no quarterback worth the top 10 pick. But I mean, there are some
Oh,
worth
it's
around like
2013.
the 8 to 10. Yeah, like Matt Corral
Eric
right now
Fisher.
is my #1 picked quarterback, and he shouldn't go top 10 unless he wins
Joe
Heisman and has a Joe Burrow year. And
It's-
Spencer Rattler, we hear a lot about. He's in a Lincoln Riley offense that has a top 5 pick every year, and he's inconsistent and failing. That
Hmm.
dude's not it either. This
Yeah.
is a year where Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon, the defensive end, this is a defensive draft.
Yes.
They
You know,
aren't
as a
going to
guy
get a
whose
Purdy
team
bumps
quarterback.
had
around.
defensive needs, I love to hear that. But I think that still, no matter what happens, we're going to see a top 3, a quarterback go top 3 at least, maybe even 2 quarterbacks
Likely,
top
as a
3.
reach, but
Just
likely.
just because of how necessary it is in today's NFL to have a franchise level quarterback. And if you have a high draft pick and you don't have a franchise quarterback, then you have no need more pressing than that. You know, you can't trade
Correct.
down and guarantee you'll get your guy. You can't, you know, pick a guy up high and then have him fail on you. It's a hit or miss league now. And you know, we may go into a new era of drafting again when, you know, teams learn to build, you know, effective schemes around the quarterbacks that they have instead of just drafting the highest talent and making it hoping that they're good enough. But it's happened multiple times throughout NFL history.
Mac
Draft
Jones.
draft stuff changes all the time. It could be a common practice to take a quarterback, you know, between 10 to 20 and, you know, let some revolutionary offensive lineman or, you know, the best cornerback anyone's ever seen come out of the draft. But until we
Everyone's
see
fighting
that
for that quarterback.
exactly, and until that changes, I'm fully expecting quarterbacks to go top of the board anyway.
Now that you're back and moving, Ethan, I asked you if Arthur Smith is the ugliest coach in the NFL.
What kind of fucking question is that? I don't care about his looks.
Okay.
They fucking suck. There's nothing good about them. Like I already mentioned, they're probably gonna have the
Fuck
#1
Matt-
overall
fuck-
pick.
Fuck
And
Matt
I-
Ryan.
And I
Talk
still
to my
don't
fantasy
understand. He'll probably still be actually, he's a free agent. Yeah, I don't
Matty
understand why
Ice.
people don't copy kind of what the Jaguars did a couple of years.
Oh, good.
Yeah, his internet's down
But you
again.
shouldn't have gotten so mad at him.
Arthur.
Alright,
Well, yeah, I
please.
mean, Arthur Smith literally made him quit.
This man's
All right.
router's a damn Doritos bag.
Bryce, the first time guy, game of the week 3.
Man, I haven't even looked at the schedule yet.
I'll go. You look it up. I'll go first. I know what my game of the week is. This is Bucks Rams, dude. If I said it before, Rams to the Super Bowl, Rams to the moon. I'm on this train. But there's no bigger threat in the NFC than the Buccaneers right now. And until the Rams go head to head with them and prove that they're the better team, then we're never gonna know. And that happens next week at 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. And if we weren't robbed of that being a primetime game, then we'll all agree we were robbed afterwards, because that's game of the week. There's no game that comes close. There are some decent ones. Nothing comes close to that.
I agree. I don't know. I'm really interested in the Chargers Chiefs game because it's interdivisional. Let's see if the Chargers can get going here and take down the Chiefs for a second week in a row. I doubt it. Saints Patriots could answer a lot of questions for us. Colts Titans could be a good directional arrow for where that division's going, but it's Rams Bucks all the way.
Easily.
All right,
Easily Rams Bucks.
Packers Niners, since Iestyn took the one I was gonna go with.
Everyone
But
else
yeah, definitely. I think it's two teams that need to get off on a hot start. Finally, both teams have had a shaky 2 weeks. Can we see some improvement from the 49ers finally? They have too much talent and too good of a coaching staff to start this slow.
Yeah, they keep playing down to their opponent's level, which I've said a few times, and some people agree with me, some people don't. But you can't play, you can't claim to be as good as they are, and they are a very good team.
They
But then
kept it
continue to
close with
keep,
the freaking Detroit Lions of all teams.
and then the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah,
Yeah, those
Like, it's what-
Eagles, they stooped way down to the Eagles level there.
yeah. It was shocking that they made those two games as close as they were, especially considering the kind of expectations you have of the 49ers. Even after you lose Robert Saleh, you expect that defense to perform because of the scheme you put in place. You expect them to maintain it if it's that level of success, or bring in someone who can work with it and improve off of it, because it's, in my opinion, undisputedly one of the best defenses schematically in the NFL was them last season. I mean, even after all of their losses and injuries, they were still a great defense in 2020. And you can't imitate that kind of success. You need to learn from it and commit to recreating it properly.
Yeah,
What I want to see too is the Colts Titans. Both teams have gotten off to a slow start in the same division.
I'm on the Colts.
We
train
need to
here.
see one of these teams pull away from each other.
I would
Titans
love for
got
it to be the
Julio
Colts.
Jones. Titans got Julio Jones this offseason and still can't do anything on offense.
We need Carson Wentz to play so that this is like a true matchup.
Oh yeah,
You want to donate both your ankles on him to him?
How do you do that?
It's
Donate your
on the
ankles.
same play.
It's not that hard. You have to like compensate so much for the one that you kind of forget how to use the other, and then you twist that thing the same way.
Okay,
I
so
guess
yeah,
so.
that is how it
Sounds like
works.
something his glass body would do.
Dude, I've done the same thing. Okay, I had to have one of my knees corrected, and then when I went to during the entire recovery process, my other one got worse because you're on crutches.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to take too much heat, and I had to go fix the other one.
Yeah.
And you never
Yeah.
guess what kind of walking aid they put me back on when I recovered. But hey, crutches. Hey, your new surgically reconstructed leg, and let's put a bunch more weight on that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
It works
like
the exact
when,
same way.
It's like when you take your side piece to the place that like your real girl likes, and then the side piece is like, I'm allergic to this stuff, and you're like, oops.
Oops.
It's
Well-
exactly like that.
Steven, this was a great pod, dude. I think we hit every team.
Yeah, I think hang on, let's take a
They
quick
did a
look. Any
great
team,
job here.
we didn't talk about the Broncos, guys. Come on. Denver's
You guys
And
didn't let me
until
go
next
off
time.
on
yeah.
It's all right. They need to earn our trust. But if you want to watch a grown man who's quickly rising up the ranks at the best at what he does, you have Daniel Carlson versus Jason Sanders this week, Oakland versus Miami, in a game that really, like, we think Oakland may take that next step. Miami we're still on the fence about.
No, we're not. They're bad. Next.
But I mean, I don't know.
QB1 Reed Sinnett.
The kickers, they're the ones to watch in that one.
Yeah, this is a kicker battle, people.
Yeah. Yeah, follow Steven for Kicker's Corner, guys. The man goes in.
I might not this week because like it was like Matt Prater, what's his name? Greg Joseph just disappointing the world. Matt Amendola not punting.
You don't want to talk about Zerline?
Oh no, he redeemed
Trash.
himself.
The leg.
Yeah. He had
No,
like,
I mean, like,
62 yards.
not everyone's gonna get a line this week though. I
Yeah,
was
that's fair.
happy because it was week 1, but like week 2, no,
Yeah.
no more
It's
mistakes.
not the same not that same gravitas, huh?
Yeah, but we covered it. All the teams. I said Deontay looks like Lizzo. We let Tolva do his thing. Bryce had
Boy,
a good
did we.
first appearance.
Dang.
Now
Appreciate
it's all
that.
said and done, Bryce.
Michael
Will
Kimmel.
there be more
Y'all,
of you?
we've got some great articles coming out. We're pumping out a lot right now at thesportswave.net. Y'all should check it out. Tons of football content if that's your thing.
Oh, yeah.
College and NFL, week in, week out. Your favorite team will likely be written about. Steven, I'll let you take it away.
Well, yeah, I asked Bryce if he was going to be back, and then you just had to brag about your
Ah.
95 articles an hour.
Yes, I'll be back. Thank you.
Your name's still not Bryce.
The amount of shameless plugs this guy has is amazing.
Too many.
At a Tolva03, at Andrew Tolva03. I'll see y'all there.
Damn, could you let Bryce talk? I want the man to come back.
Oh, I'm definitely back.
All right.
You guys been great to me, except for Tolva.
As
Not letting me
always.
speak ever. But yeah. Follow FB Analyst, killing Instagram game.
Oh yeah, man's everywhere.
Yeah, so Bryce, the FB analyst, I'm usually in his comment section pretty soon. I got notifications on. I can't miss a Bryce post. Iestyn's power rankings. If you refresh like the sportswave.net, literally a new Tolva article will be out. Ethan Hartley's
Every
got a UFC
0.3
preview.
seconds.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ethan Hartley's got a good UFC preview coming up soon. Deontay just follows me wherever I go. Spotify, Apple, YouTube. What?
Deontay, plug something. Come on, man. Do it.
Everyone else says you got to.
I got nothing.
I follow Deontay. He covers Washington like a goddamn.
suddenly now the PodThot has nothing to say.
At D_4_3.
My guy.
There's his
How does
plug.
family over everything? But whatever.
Family over everything.
All right. We'll be back on Sunday. Maybe the same cast, maybe not. I don't know. Hey, Hartley, you're finally back. You want to say something before you freeze? He's still frozen.
He froze again.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Until the next one, we're out.